Wrestle Magic Pod, official sponsors of British Empire Wrestling.
All right, everybody. Tonight's episode of Wrestle Magic, we're having a conversation with a prominent figure. Well, the child of a prominent figure in wrestling history, the daughter of the Dynamite Kid himself, Miss Dynamite Doll, Bronwyne Billington. Ma'am, how are you doing today, and what's going on in your life currently?
I'm amazing. Thank you so much for that awesome introduction. Currently, I have lots going on with my dad's legacy. Just doing everything I can to try to push for the Hall of Fame. The movie on his life is currently in the works. So the movie producers from the UK are actually going to be here next weekend. So gearing up for that, lots of exciting things. I'm going to be going to the UK in February for the big convention they have there in Manchester for the love of wrestling. So everything's lining up really great to just continue and push forward with my dad's legacy. I'm excited to be here, and I'm also hosting my own podcast, so that's been taking up a lot of my time and just setting lots of goals there for myself as well.
Oh, that's awesome. And before we go any further, so what was the name of your podcast for our viewers to be able to tune in?
It is called Dirt with the Doll, and you can find it under X Brand Wrestling's YouTube channel.
Okay, that's pretty cool. I want to check that out sometime for sure. But anyways, so something that I do want to ask about. So your father, wasn't he already part of the Hall of Fame as the British Bulldogs? Are you talking about maybe a solo run or?
No, the Bulldogs are not in the Hall of Fame. Just
Really?
Davey Boy Smith is. Yeah. He got inducted during COVID, whatever year that was, like 2019 or something like that was when Davey got inducted, but the Bulldogs are not in and my father is not in yet either. So I'm pushing for solo, of course, but I'll take either or. The Bulldogs should definitely be in there, and my dad should definitely be in there for how much he, changed the business at such a long ass time ago, and it's still what he was doing in the 80s is still current now. So he needs to be in there.
Oh, definitely. Totally agree. I mean, as a tag team and as a solo wrestler, I mean, looking at his career overall, yeah, there's controversy, and maybe TKO or maybe WWE just, before TKO took over was a little worried, I guess, maybe. But still, it just makes perfect sense that he needs to be in there. He was one of the greatest technical wrestlers of his time, and his matches with Tiger Mask are considered some of the greatest of all time. It's a deadlock. It needs to be in there. So totally agree. That kind of surprised me. I did not know the Bulldogs were not in. I figured, yeah, there's no way they're not, but geez.
Right. Yeah, no, they need to be.
Oh, for sure. And it's interesting how much that I've learned about them over, I want to say, like the past year or so. Because for anybody that's been listening for a long time, even when we were on a different podcast, we actually did a whole hour-long special just about your dad and just talking about the good, the bad, the ugly, everything that's gone on. And then I started interviewing wrestlers more often and meeting the Jumping Bomb Angels. Both of them spoke very highly of your father and Davey Boy.
Yes.
Just the fact that I guess they were kind of protective over both Itsuki and Norio whenever they'd be traveling somewhere. And whenever they were traveling anywhere, you would see Dynamite Kid would actually talk to other people like Ultimate Warrior and tell them, hey, if anything happens and I'm not there, protect the Angels. Just don't let them get hurt or anything. Watch out for them.
I love that so much. I'll definitely have to try to reach out to them and get them on my podcast. It'd be cool to hear some of those stories. Thank you for sharing that.
Oh, of course. And I can definitely give you a link to their contact and everything. But so one of the first things...
they're such tiny women, so that's so cute that he was like protective of them and, like sisters in the business. And they probably had a lot of travels on the road together. And so that's super cool to hear.
Oh, definitely. And a big part of that was just because when Dynamite went to Japan, apparently people were very much looking out for him. And same thing with people like Harley Race. They spoke highly of him as well, just saying like, yeah, he always looked out for us and just everybody else in the business. But they specifically pulled us aside and said like, hey, when I was traveling in Japan, I was protected as well. And I was always looked out for. I'm going to help you the same way, sort of thing. And it's amazing to see how the business... everybody looks out for each other.
There are good people out there, yes. And Harley Race definitely was one of them. I'm very good friends with his son. Just had him on my podcast, and my dad and him were so close. So yeah, they probably shared a lot of similar morals and values. So that's probably why they got along so well.
Oh, definitely. I mean, two of the toughest people in the business for sure, people that you just didn't want to mess with. But yeah, so I did want to ask you, so how would you describe your childhood growing up as the daughter of the Dynamite Kid?
It was definitely a very unique childhood. Looking back now, especially, I'm like, wow, I wasn't like most kids, having Sunday dinners with professional wrestlers, and every single house we'd go to, there was a wrestling ring, because there was our house, we had a wrestling ring. Brett's house, my uncle Brett, I grew up with his kids we grew up like siblings, so our moms are sisters. So when our dads were on the road, we were always together. So there was always a wrestling ring, whoever's house we were at. If we were up at Stu and Helen Hart's house, there was a wrestling ring. So it was just the norm for us, and we didn't know any different. But looking back now, it's like, okay, that was a little bit unique, and I'm not like everyone else. But being in Calgary, I live, born and raised here, the Harts were like celebrities. So being a kid, and they're like, your uncle's Bret Hart. Like, they didn't know about my dad as much, because my dad, of course, there was no internet, and my dad's career ended earlier, and they knew that I was from a wrestling family, but they didn't really know at that time, until the internet got bigger, like what a big impact he made on the business. But yeah, everyone was always like, your uncle's Bret Hart, that's so cool. Like, can you get me an autograph? Can you get me a t-shirt? And I'm like, yeah, I'll see what I can do, stand in line.
Of course. So
lots of perks. I remember even going to the bar when I was 17 with a fake ID. And I actually took my cousin Jade Hart's ID. So that's Brett's eldest daughter. She's a year older than me. So I straight up stole her ID from her room. I was like, I'm going to go to the bar. I didn't ask her to borrow it. I stole it. Jade, I'm really sorry. But anyway, so I go to the bar, and they're like looking at my ID. They're like, you're not Jade Hart. They're like, we know Jade Hart. You're not Jade Hart. And I was like, oh my God. They're like, okay, but I'm like, well, I'm her cousin. And they're like, okay, well, who's your dad? I was like, well, my dad's the Dynamite Kid. And they're like, come on in. Like, so that was just part of the perks of growing up. We would, get to skip lines and get to come in underage and things like that.
Of course, you had that almost celebrity status. But what I was wondering about was how often do you come through about like the autographs and T-shirts and everything for people?
Like currently, or my whole life?
Your whole life, because you said like growing up, people were always like, "Oh my God, your uncle's Bret Hart. That's so cool. Can you get me an autograph?"
So I would definitely pick and choose like who's, because I can't do it for everyone. So just people that are worthy, or like boys that I'd really have a crush on. I was like, oh, maybe he'll like me back if I get him these Bret Hart glasses. So yeah, they proved to not be worthy, but at the time I thought they were. But yeah, now I'll do it for, people that, if it's a good cause, or like some kind of trade with someone. Yeah.
Anything like that. And that's understandable. You do favors for people that maybe you just get along with well enough in the moment.
I mean, it's easy for me to get the glasses now, like the Hitman glasses. My cousin runs his store, so I just have to go to her house and be like, can I get some glasses? But my dad's stuff, like I don't have very much memorabilia. So I've had people ask me to trade for belts, and I'm like, I'm sorry, I can't. Like, I just don't have enough to go around. This is for me to keep.
Of course. I mean, I don't mean to say this in any kind of disrespectful manner or anything, but it didn't seem like past a certain point he was really like around, and I expect that you probably didn't have much once he was, gone. And of course, on the road all the time, you got to see him when you got to see him, and then just kind of vanished after a while. And I don't mean anything bad about that, but either way. So with not having
back to England, and then, my mom kind of would lent someone boots and things like that. And then you don't really think at the time how important those boots are. And you're like, oh, then that person gave the boots away to someone else. And so things like that. So we don't have as much memorabilia, but, I have some really big, important pieces. And so it's still great to have that. But more than anything, I just wish I had like a sweater that he wore. Because when he first went back to England, my mom then, when I went to visit my dad, I was 10. I went to England. My mom sent all his clothes with me to take him because she wanted to be nice. Like, here's all your nice, your Adidas suits and your hats and your this and your that. And I wish now looking back, like we kept some of it so that I would just have like a sweater that he wore. That's all I want. But I don't have that. But such is life.
Right, sweater or jacket or anything. And wasn't he
Yes, I really
famous?
wish I had a jacket.
Oh yeah, definitely. He I
The
remember.
Ribera jacket, I wish I had.
Yeah, that's what I was just about to say. That there's a lot of pictures of him wearing Ribera jackets and everything. And another thing about Itsuki from the Jumping Bomb Angels, she talked a little bit about like going there and everything. She doesn't really want the jacket if she ever does go back there, just because she's like, well, Dynamite offered me his a long time ago, and it's kind of a sentimental thing now. I don't want one just from there because that was my close friend. And
Does she have it?
she does not, from what I
Oh,
believe, but just the fact that that's the offer that she was given, and I don't think she wants another one if it's not his sort
oh,
of thing.
yeah.
But yeah, it is
Me and
interesting.
you both, girl.
Definitely. But yeah, so your father was a very huge impact on the business, and a lot of people don't really know as much, and it seems like a lot of that happened in Japan, so didn't really have the same impact that it should have over here. Now, did you get to watch a lot of his matches, and do you watch a lot of his matches by curiosity or anything like that?
I mean, back then, no, I didn't, of course. And things were much more secluded back then.
Right.
I don't even know. Yeah, like you're saying, it kind of didn't come over this way because I don't even know how you would have watched it back then in the 80s. Like my dad and my mom, well, my mom still has like VHSs full of Japanese matches that my dad was in. We have them in the basement, just in storage. So I don't really know how she even got those or how you would get those back then. But yeah, I love to look back now because, like I said, they're classics, they're timeless. It's super cool to see the way the Japanese fans would react to him. It was a much different crowd than America or Canada. They'd be much more reserved, but then, they're popping for the big spots. And so when they do get excited, it's like they're really excited. And it's just so much different than Canada or America. I've never been to Japan. I would love to go. And I know that my dad absolutely loved it there. So.
Oh, definitely. You see the stories and everything, and obviously him and Tiger Mask must have had a pretty good relationship considering how often they worked together, and they were considered to be one of the best matches of all time, having those two together. Now, it's interesting as well, just because earlier this year, I actually got to meet Jacques Rougeau, and knowing about the incident that happened between them and everything, he had a interesting answer when somebody had brought it up, and he kind of rolled his eyes because you could tell he's like, all right, I've told this story a million times.
Yeah.
But he didn't go too in depth about it, but he said like, yeah, Dynamite, he was kind of a bully to a lot of the guys in the back. And I did something that I actually do kind of regret in a way, but sometimes things have to be done, and when you're young, you're kind of dumb. But then he did tell a story that I don't know if a lot of people know about, that later on when Davey Boy came back from Japan, that they actually made amends at one point. Just that they went to the shower together, and because they just wanted to talk for a minute. And he's like, hey, man, I'm willing to let bygones be bygones. My old partner, he did some things, you did some things, but I'm willing to just move past it. And that was something that I had never really heard about or knew about. Did you ever know about any of that, or?
No, but I could see, why that would transpire because, yeah, if they're still working in the same company and, they're both trying to move forward in their careers, of course, you don't want any hostility or things happening again that could affect your position in the company. So, I mean, it makes sense that you would want to fix that, I guess.
Of course, and just letting it go past a certain point. I mean, it's just maturing.
Yeah, it's not healthy for anyone to be angry if you have to work together. It's not going to get anywhere. So
Totally agree. But yeah, there was so many stories that, there's good, bad, ugly, and there's just so many of them that it can really taint somebody's legacy, when obviously there are good things that have happened as well. And in the special where we kind of covered him, it did, I don't want to say paint him in a bad light, but it was a lot of, the bad things. And that's kind of what the Dark Side of the Ring also highlighted a lot of. And it seemed like they really were just like, all right, there wasn't really a whole lot of positive. But I do want to ask, do you have any stories or anything like that where it was like a really positive times during like your childhood or anything like that with him?
Oh, yeah, of course. And I mean, the dark side or the dark stories, it seems like they stand out more because they're heavier. So of course those are going to be weighing heavier on you. But, I watched The Dark Side of the Ring and I was a part of that episode and I have no regrets. Of course it was, they call it The Dark Side of the Ring for a reason, but it still was helping, keep my dad's legacy alive and get his story out there again. And yes, it was Dark Side of the Ring, but there was more to him than all those, bad stories that they talked about. So some of my positive memories growing up were, I'm the oldest, I'm the eldest child, and my dad absolutely adored me, and I was like his little princess, and he treated me that way. And if you look at pictures of us, like he's always like delicately holding my hand, always. He was very, very precious to me. I was precious to him, and he treated me like a little princess. So I think it was my 4th birthday, and I was like, Daddy, I want a pony. So what did Dad do? He delivered. I got a pony for my birthday. Like, I got whatever I wanted because that's how much he loved me. And we were in no way equipped to have a pony. We lived on an acreage, so we had the space, and our neighbors actually had horses. So what ended up happening was they actually ended up buying the pony off of us after like a week. We're like, we don't know what we're doing. I had my moment. Like, okay, she's 4. Like, she'll be over this in a week. Yeah. So, and then I got to visit the pony still because it was next door, and yeah. But that's how he always treated me, and he treated his friends that his small group of friends that were real friends, people like Harley Race and Bad News Alan. Like, he was so loyal to his friends. He was really, really funny, like a delight to be around. He was hilarious. People loved hanging out with him. He would train some of his friends in the wrestling ring. We had in our backyard, because we were on an acreage, we had a barn, and that's where the wrestling ring was. So he would train his friends, and at no cost. Like, he was like, no one ever charged me to train. Like, I'm not going to charge you. And so that was the goodness out of his heart. And, with people that he really cared about. So you had to be in his close inner circle to really see that side of him, but it was there. And the people that he loved and trusted got to see that side of him. So yeah, he was a funny goofball, and, just absolutely loved me.
I'm glad. But it is interesting just seeing that, he was one of those people that it's like, once you're cool with me, I will give you the world. But outside of that, exactly.
Hey, animals. Dog attack. Go. Give me 1 sec.
No problem. Take your time.
Someone's getting kicked out. Here, go, you stay. Watching my sister's little pug right now. Come here, you want to say hi? She's a pug Shih Tzu. Oh,
aww,
there's Toad.
That's adorable.
Yeah. She's very needy. But she's... So that's who's causing a ruckus. And yeah, I mean, my dad, he loved animals. My mom and dad bred dogs. We bred bull mastiffs growing up. If you know what they are, they're massive dogs. And so when I was little, I was always playing with the puppies. And there's pictures of me like 2 years old, and I'm just like in one of those big round old 80s couches, and like with all the puppies. Like, that was my childhood. So yeah, we always had cats and dogs, and I had the horse. My dad had pigs growing up, so we were going to get pigs. We had turkeys at one time. He loved eating those turkeys. There was like the best. My mom is a really good cook, so I guess she made some good turkeys out of those.
Interesting. So he liked raising animals, but he also liked eating them as well. So half farmer almost in a way.
I also remember I had a bunny at a time, and then the bunny went missing. And then shortly later, I'm eating chicken, and my dad was like, how do you like the chicken? I'm like, this chicken is so good. And I had the bone like in my mouth, and there's a picture of me. And then after, he told me it was actually a bunny. And he's like, you just ate Bugs Bunny. How did you like Bugs Bunny? And then I was crying because my bunny was missing. So I still don't know the truth to the story, but...
Oh, God.
I actually don't even remember having a bunny, except that it's in a picture. So I was little.
Ah, okay. That makes sense.
Yeah, my dad was very into the John Wayne movies, and so he liked hunting.
Okay. Nothing wrong with that.
I was gonna say that sounds bad. I don't think it was my bunny, but it just the timing was coincidental.
It's a little terrifying to think about that he might have fed you your pet, but I don't think he would have done that. I don't think he would have went
No.
that far.
Well, my mom will probably be like, "That's not what happened," but looking back, I'm like,
It's a bit suspicious still.
I wasn't equipped for a bunny.
Of course not. But so I do also want to ask you about, so how did you like visiting him in the UK, and how was just the UK's experience for you?
I loved visiting him. When I first arrived at his doorstep, it had been 15 years since we talked and seen each other. So it was a little bit like shocking at first, and he acted like no time had passed. And I just started crying, and he's like, "Why are you crying?" Like, because I haven't seen you for like 15 years, and this is emotional. But he was just so happy that he couldn't even cry. It was like the happiness took over. So I was like, okay. So I shook it off, and I wasn't crying anymore. But it was so great to connect with him, and just I had my daughter. She was 2 years old. That was my first daughter. And then I realized like a part of me was missing, and that was having my dad in my life. So when I showed up at his door, and I was there for a week, so I went every single day for a week, and my visits were longer and longer each day. And then when I left, I was like, I felt whole again, and that's what I was missing, was just having my dad in my life. So becoming a parent and realizing we do the best job that we can, and we're not all perfect. We give what we can, and so I realized that, and I missed my dad, so I felt whole again connecting with him. And then when I left, I think I went again for a second time, like 6 months later. Maybe it was 3 months. But I knew, my dad, like I was like, I don't know how much longer he has to live. And I think the second time I went, he had his strokes. So I was trying to go as often as I could. So I was kind of going every 3 to 6 months to go see him. And at that point when he was having strokes, like he didn't talk a lot, but it was just about being there and just physically being next to him and spending those last memories with him.
Of course.
So I loved it. England as a whole was, where my dad's from, it's a really tiny little town. So when I talk about England, I'm really talking about the little town that he's from. It's a lot different than Canada. Like it's just so much different. I came home and I'm like, oh my God, well, I'm from like the cleanest, I think we're the cleanest city in the world, Calgary, Alberta, Canada. We're
Really?
considered one of the cleanest, friendliest, nicest. So I'm a little bit spoiled that way. So when I go to England, I'm like, there's garbage all over the floors. Like, it's just so much different. Like, and then the food like was really greasy and really hurt my stomach. But of course I was eating at the pub every day. So that could be why. But I will say their chocolate is so much better than ours. Something about like the milk, or the cow's milk, I guess, is different. So the chocolate is so much sweeter. It's delicious. I love it. That's my favorite thing.
Really? What was your favorite out here for the chocolate?
In England?
Yeah.
Or just the Cadbury. You can get at the airport like the massive Cadbury chocolate bars. I always take those home. And my friend from England will mail them to me and my kids. It's just so good.
Interesting. So,
but I love England. I love the accents. I love kind of, to me, like the simplicity of things. I love the brick housing. That's my favorite, is the brick. The houses are so much smaller, and I just feel like life is more simple. Like we have these massive houses out here and massive backyards, and it's such an upkeep to like, mow the lawn. And so England is just so like dainty and cute, and like, I just love it.
yeah, I'll agree with that. I mean, everything's a little bit smaller here, but it doesn't need to be huge. And you kind of start to realize that after a while. It's like, okay, did I really need the roads to be as wide, as back where
Are you in England?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, okay. Whereabouts are you?
Oh, I'm near Cambridge, actually. Not too far from it.
Okay.
But
right. So I did go to London. But I only went for like a day trip. Because when I go to England, it's usually 1 week. So from Wigan, I could take the train to London, and I think it was 3 hours, if I'm remembering that correctly, 3.5 hours or something. But so 3.5 hours there. I only went one night to London and kind of went everywhere by the train, and saw as much as I could in one day, and then back on the train back to Wigan the next day. So yeah, I did as much as I could, but I can't say that I fully got the feel of like what London is like.
I mean, the general.
Expensive.
Oh yeah, it's definitely expensive, but I mean, the general rule that I tell people about London, you can go probably once a weekend for like 6 months and just start walking in any direction from the center of London. You're going to find something different every time. I mean, I
Yeah.
remember with a couple friends, we were just walking and we ended up in the Microsoft store, and they had like, if you know the video game Halo, they had the full size vehicles from that, or one of them just in the middle of the lobby of it, and then go upstairs in there and they've got one of the original prototype Xboxes and stuff like that. And it's like, okay, there's always something different going on here. And then
Why
look
not?
across the street and there's the signs for Wicked playing across and everything. It's like, okay, you can just
Yeah.
do anything here. But yeah, London
Sure.
is definitely a trip. And
Lots going on. Yeah. Lots
And-
to see. Yeah.
yeah, and the tube, for everybody that's never been to England, that's what they call the underground train and everything. The tube is the way to go for any kind of travel. It just makes everything
Yes, you
so
can
easy.
just get your day pass, and that's what we did, and go everywhere.
Yeah, exactly. Totally agree. So you never got to experience like anything in like London or anything like that with your dad when he was still alive?
No. Well, maybe I don't think I went as a kid. No.
Okay. Dang, that's unfortunate. Wait, I thought you said that you went when you were like 10, but okay, so you didn't go to like
well, my
London.
dad wasn't. No, my dad's not in London. So he was. Well, then he was in. Oh gosh, where was he? Close to Wigan, but Oh, I'm drawing a blank where he lived at the time. Oh, I can't remember. A little bit. It was a little bit bigger than Wigan where he was at the time, but. So back then, like, it was cool because I was 10. Like, I went on a double-decker bus, I got offered to go to the Cranberries concert, but I was 10. So I was like, well, because my dad's friend had an extra ticket. I was like, well, Dad, I don't go without you. Like, I'm just 10 years old in England. Like, I'm not going to go with this guy and his kids that I don't know. So he brought me back a T-shirt from the concert. And yeah, I don't know. That was a great summer. I spent the summer out there. My little brother and I went with my dad and just did kid things. That's all we really needed to do. A double-decker bus. That's all I needed.
Just to see something different and just be out there for
Oh,
a
and
little bit.
I watched Neighbors every day. Is that show still on?
I don't think it's still on, but I'm pretty sure I've seen old stuff for that. It's been a while since I don't really
and
watch
Faulty
British TV too much.
Yeah, I would watch Faulty Towers with my dad, and I'd watch Neighbors. But Neighbors was actually Australian, but they played
okay.
it. Yeah.
That makes sense. Aren't they part of the Commonwealth Commonwealth or whatever?
Yeah. Probably.
Okay. But yeah, thinking about it, you mentioned Faulty Towers. Did you ever watch Blackadder at all?
No,
okay.
I don't know. It's supposed to be Faulty Towers kind of a play thing coming here. I think it's in December or something this winter, and I was like, oh, I kind of want to go because I watched that with my dad, so it's like special. Hey, stop crying! Sorry, you're so whiny.
So something that I do want to ask you about. So what is the movie that's coming out going to be called about your father?
It's just going to be called Dynamite.
Okay.
Yeah, so we're excited. I can't believe it's all happening. Like they're officially meeting the producers next weekend here. They're flying to Canada. They're excited to be coming here, and we'll be showing them around where we lived, like the Hart House and all that, like where the Stampede Wrestling took place at the Pavilion, the Calgary Stampede grounds. Meeting some of the Hart family members. They'll be, and just recording and doing interviews and stuff.
Okay, that's pretty cool. So how much input will you have on like any kind of facts or anything that you guys are going to put into the movie?
So my mom is actually helping write the script. So my mom she's been writing her life story for a long time. It started as a book and then it transitioned into a screenplay. And so when the movie producers first approached me, I was like, well, my mom's already writing a script. She has all these parts written already of like meeting my dad and like their marriage and all that. So I was like, it would be really cool if she could help write the script or those parts that she was there for. And so they were like, absolutely. We wouldn't want it any other way. We want you guys involved and happy with it. And we want to get it correct. And and exact. So I mean, it should be pretty dead on with, her input in there. And yeah. And I mean, they've explained things that it's still a movie, it's TV, it's television. Even with Dark Side of the Ring, you have to dramatize things sometimes just for the effect. So we're aware that it's not going to be exact. Some things might be exaggerated, and some people might have a problem with that, watching it back saying that never happened. But it's like, you have to remember it's TV, and, it has to be, I don't know, just to get that feeling across on screen, it needs to be dramatized. So,
of course,
we know.
It's got to be interesting. And who better to go to than the family that he had? I mean, who else would make any more sense to go to besides maybe a couple friends of his? Like, I believe Dan Spivey was somebody who spoke a lot about him during the Dark Side of the Ring episode, and they seemed like they were kind of close. Have you gotten to speak with him at all, or?
I have, yeah. Yeah, just a little bit on Facebook. I think it was after the Dark Side I reached out because he had really nice things to say about my dad. And I was like, oh, that's so nice, that I didn't fully know about Dan very much. But hearing, how much respect he had for my dad and the positive memories that he talks about, stop, honey. It was nice. I just wanted to reach out and thank him for, helping keep the positive memories alive for my father's legacy.
That's valid. And have you ever considered maybe having him on your podcast at any point, or?
Yes, absolutely. Yeah. My mom, she wants them all. She's like, you need to get them all on there. All my dad's old friends. And so I'm like, okay, one step at a time, Mom. I'm only on episode 5. And, every time, I don't know how long you've been doing this, but each episode, I'm still practicing right now. I'm still learning my groove. So I'm kind of, right now I've been doing a lot of people that I know, and I know their story and stuff like that. Once I'm more experienced, I'll be able to reach out more to people that I have no idea anything about them. So, because I really like researching and knowing and asking about certain things. And so I'll get there.
Oh, of course. I mean, yeah, it takes a little bit to get going, but then once you start to really find that groove where you're able to just, speak a little bit better about just getting people on your podcast and kind of selling it to them, yeah, come on, we can talk about whatever,
shoot the shit.
Exactly. It becomes pretty easy. And some
right now I'm very structured in my questions, and takes a while to loosen up a bit, I guess, or become more natural.
I still go back and forth a little bit between that sometimes. Yeah. Sometimes I'll have a script next to me just to be all right, I've got a reference just in case I lose track, or I just, completely brain fart, which has happened a couple of times. So always helpful. But,
totally.
So what kind of stuff do you have from your father? I'm a little curious. Do you have an old belt of his, or?
I don't have, I just have a replica belt. Oh yeah, I have it right here. I don't have a real belt. The World Tag Team Wrestling Championship.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. But yeah, it's just a replica that someone gifted me, and I mean, I still absolutely love it. I can't even imagine having a real belt. How cool that would be. But yeah, I have my dad's Union Jack cape that he wore with the vest. Him and Davey Boy both wore in the WWF. When they came out with Matilda and they had their capes, and the cape was on a really heavy string. The back of it's embroidered and says Kid on the neck. So we have that. I have some of his wrestling gear. Well, I have the Union Jack gear with on the trunks, and the ones that are blue that say Dynamite on the butt, which he wore in Japan. I don't think they're the ones with tiger masks because they're a different color, but he definitely wore them in Japan sometime. We have Matilda's collar. It's embroidered, or not embroidered, it's engraved, and it says 1988. I guess it's from 1988 that she wore it. I think that's about it. I have a bunch of t-shirts that he wore in All Japan. They would get the long, almost baseball style t-shirts, All Japan Pro Wrestling. So I have that. I just wear it to bed, pajamas. Yeah. I think those are the big things that I have.
Okay. That's pretty cool that you at least have something of his.
Yeah, I got no boots. I wish I had boots.
Oh man, boots would have been like big. That would have been really cool. And I like that you mentioned Matilda, and it's cool that you have her collar and everything.
Yes.
I remember.
I'm not sure how we got it. My mom will know because obviously she was the one that was around then. Like I was just a kid. So obviously Davy had Matilda more than we did. Like we didn't take Matilda home with us, but Davy did. So I don't know how we got the collar. Maybe he gifted it to my dad. I'm not sure.
Interesting. I didn't know that. So you guys like, I'm sure you probably met Matilda once or twice, but
Yeah.
you guys didn't ever take her home?
Mm-mm. No, she went with Davy.
Okay, okay.
She was at my 4th birthday party. Yeah.
That's awesome, though. I mean, it was interesting because my uncle, who was on at the time when we talked about your father, he had read your father's book over again before we had started recording. And he was saying, yeah, it was interesting, this part about Matilda, the bulldog that used to come to the ring, because Dynamite kind of talked about yeah, so a lot of guys had these really goofy gimmicks and stuff that they had to come out and do whatever and kind of embarrass themselves a little bit. For us, it wasn't so bad. We had to walk down the ramp with a bulldog. If that's the worst that we had it, I'll take it, you know? And yeah, I mean, if that's it.
True. I mean, it'd be harder with the bird or I'm guessing. The bird, how would you travel with that thing? I guess in a cage? I don't know. But a snake, like Jake hated snakes, I believe. Jake the Snake actually was scared of them, wasn't he?
Really?
Yeah, I thought that's what I heard. Yeah, he did not like snakes, at least to start.
I didn't know that part, but man, that's different. I mean, yeah, because I think, didn't Coco Beware have a bird or something like that?
Mm-hmm, yeah. Come here, honey, come here. Oh, I'm going to open the door. I'm sorry.
It's all right. Take your time. It's no biggie.
Chester. See, got to keeping up the farm life tradition here. All the animals. I have 3 cats, and then my sister lives with me, and she has a dog. So, yeah.
That's pretty cool, though. I like that, and it's weird to me that like you guys had so many animals, but you never really took Matilda home. But maybe it was Davy's dog after a while. You know, it is what it is.
Yeah. Well, the dog was a lot of work on the road for sure, because you know when you're traveling and airport to airport, what are you supposed to feed a dog? So there's literally pictures of them feeding it hot dogs because they're like, what are we supposed to feed her?
God, that's got to be so awkward. You're like, all right, there's no pet stores on the way. What are we going to do?
Yeah. Yeah. And it's like, I have to quickly whip to the airport now, back home, you know. I mean, now because I know now airports have like the dog pee pads and stuff, or the grass pads.
Yeah.
So maybe there's dog food at the airport, but back then there wouldn't have been. It's like, here's a hot dog.
Definitely not. Definitely not. And I can see that poster of your father in the back there. That's pretty well done. Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So this is a local artist. I think I'm going to have her on my podcast, actually. She's from Calgary, and her name is Kim Static. And she also did the blue one over there. You can't really see, but it's my dad and Davey. They're face to face. I think that was the photo shoot, I think, that they did. It was a Japanese photo shoot where they did the Popeye. Did you ever see those photos? They're just like Popeye the Sailor Man.
I don't think I have.
It's hilarious. I think it's from the same photo shoot in Japan. They would just do the most ridiculous things. But she does a lot of paintings for local like Stampede wrestlers and stuff like that. Natty was just here, Natalia was just here for her book release. And she painted 2 paintings of her. She gifted her. And she's done Owen. She's done Brett. She's done so many different people. And so she sells them. She gifts them. She's trying to get them up in venues here in Calgary, you know, to stay permanently. There's a music venue that we have here, and she has her Ozzy Osbourne painting up in the venue. So that's super cool. And yeah, she loves wrestling. She's giving back with her artwork. So I'd love to have her on my show sometime.
Well, that's really cool. I'd like to try to support her at some point. Maybe get some stuff done, have it at my place.
So amazing. Like, because I had a printed version of this one with me in Philadelphia. I just had it on display on the table, and everyone was asking to buy it. And I'm like, I'm sorry, it's just part of my display for the table. So that was in July, and then I just went back again in October. So she gave me like 30 prints to sell. And I'm like, well, what do I owe you? She's like, nothing. Like, she just wants to get her name out there. And she loves like keeping the local wrestlers' legacies alive. And that's just her way of giving back. So she's awesome.
Well, that's fair enough. I mean, Calgary has such a huge history between Stampede and obviously the Hart family, which is, well, your family, I should say at this point, because I mean, that's just what it is. And it's really weird for me thinking, because for some reason I keep forgetting that Dynamite and the Hart family are related, and I don't know why. And
Yeah. Oh, yeah, we're very intertwined.
you
Because
kind of like,
my mom's sister married Bret Hart.
yeah.
So then that's how my mom met my dad. So then my mom marries Dynamite Kid, and then his cousin Davey then marries Diana Hart. So we're just like all intertwined. It's funny.
Everybody together like that. That is pretty cool. But thinking about it, so did you ever make an attempt or think about making an attempt to potentially become a wrestler yourself, being in that kind of family?
I did when I was graduating high school. I'm like, what am I going to do with my life? So I had my cousin Ted Hart. He had a wrestling school for kids. It was called Mat Rats. And so everyone was involved. Everyone was wrestling. And if the girls weren't wrestling, they were managing. And I think he had like TV tapings and everything like that. And so I was hanging out with him a lot at the time when I was about to graduate. And he was like, you should get into wrestling. Like, how cool would that be? Dynamite Kid's daughter. Like, it'll draw huge, blah, blah, blah. So I was like, yeah, okay. And so like I started like getting motivated and like working out. And that was like my dream. I was like, I'm going to graduate and I'm going to start wrestling. Like, I already have my like career planned out for me. I'm built into this family. Like, this makes sense. It's going to happen. And then that's around the time my father and I had a falling out, and we didn't talk for 15 years. So then when that happened, I was turned off from wrestling. I was just like, I hate wrestling. I hate everything it's done. It's taken my father away. It's ended him up in a wheelchair. Like, I just was pushing it away again at that time. So I never actually did get in the ring and like start training. And then when I reconnected with my dad, I got that like itch again to get involved in wrestling. I was just like, I'm going to start going to local wrestling shows. So I started going to local wrestling shows, and then I started dating a wrestler, of course, because I was like, well, I'm just going to do the thing my whole family has done, and that's like keep it within the wrestling community. So I started dating a wrestler, and then I started managing. And at that point, I was already in my 30s, or nearly 30. Yeah, I was about 30 when I started managing. So at that point, I was like, I think it's too late for me to like start training, but this is my way of being involved. And I think that it's just the way that it was always supposed to be. Because when I would play as a kid in the ring with my cousins, I was always Miss Elizabeth. I was always just like, I'm Miss Elizabeth, like standing dainty on the corner. Like, that was my role. And I just think that made sense for me.
I mean, yeah, that makes sense. I mean, it's the first woman of wrestling. Why would why would anybody else make that'd be just the perfect role for you or any young girl looking into anything wrestling?
True. At that time, I guess they weren't really wrestling as much at the time.
Here or there.
I mean, Scary Sherry was, so yeah.
Yeah, and potentially in Japan. Yeah, definitely in Japan, there would have been some women's wrestling going on, because I believe AJW was still around at that point. But you had mentioned, playing in the ring as a kid, and that kind of reminded me of one of the first interviews I did was with Chavo Guerrero, and I asked him about like...
I love Chavo.
Oh, everybody loves Chavo. But I remember... I had asked him about like when did you decide that you wanted to be a wrestler? He's like, it was just kind of always the thing. And I mean, pretty much like he said, growing up, we didn't have a playground in the backyard. We had a ring, that was our camping tent. That was our playground. That was where we were all the time. Did you kind of feel the same way to an extent?
Yeah. Yeah. So we would go like Sunday dinners were always up at the Hart house. So Stu and Helen Hart's house. That's Brett's parents. They'd always have the big family dinners, and I can just remember, we'd be waiting our turn because the adults would be in the ring, and we're like, okay, when's it our turn? Or whatever. Or they'd go down into the dungeon and then we'd get the ring. So, and I can just remember like bouncing around and how cool that felt. And yeah, that was our playground.
It's pretty cool that a lot of wrestlers' kids seem to have shared experience like that. Like, yeah, that was the ring. That's where we hung out. That was just what we did.
Yeah. Yeah, we'd play like four corners in the ring and do whatever games we'd make up.
play wrestling and just do whatever. That is
They
pretty
can't
cool.
touch the ground or something. They can only walk on the ropes or, yeah.
Seems a
Things
little
like that.
dangerous, but that was, how the
Well, not
times
the
were, I
top
guess.
rope, the middle or the bottom one.
Makes perfect sense. I mean, yeah, I guess that's kind of how the times were as well, was just, well, this is what we got, guys. Go have fun with it. Just, kids are kids. They're going to enjoy anything. But,
And they in 80s cartoons. I remember that Sunday dinners, we'd be all watching the cartoons. Yeah.
it's nice to be able to look back at
I don't
those
know if you
kind
know
of
the
memories.
raccoons, but I remember the raccoons specifically.
The
It's a
raccoons.
Canadian. I think it's a Canadian cartoon, so you might not know.
I've never heard of it. I'm also only 26, so I'm a little young, honestly.
Oh, you're just a baby.
But yeah, it is interesting just hearing these different stories about your dad and just how it's kind of different looking through the eyes of the daughter of the Dynamite Kid and seeing like who you looked up to as your hero, where a lot of people have kind of painted him almost to be a villain in a way. And does that kind of bother you at times, like hearing the stories or anything like that?
I mean, yeah, I guess of course it's gonna bother me, but for the majority, like everyone that reaches out to me on Instagram and social media, and like I get a lot of positive love and feedback, so I'm really blessed that way. I just get the odd, random hateful comment and I'll just delete it. I really try not to let it get under my skin because they're often just like keyboard warriors. So I just delete it and move on. There's been a couple times where, I was just having a bad day and I've had enough and I like snapped back. But that is not me. And so I deleted it right away. I was just like, no, that makes me look bad. Now I look like this. Like, I need to be the bigger person, take the higher road. And so that's always my approach. But I don't like the word bully so much because I don't think my dad was a bully. I think that they came from a time where ribs were more acceptable. That was part of the locker room culture, was like just pulling ribs on each other. And I think that he took them a little too far, and maybe they're funny to him, but they're not funny. They're certainly not funny to me as a mother. I'm super paranoid. And like, if anyone did that to my child, like I wouldn't like that, but that's like the culture that they came from. And, it's also a little bit of British humor. They have like a really different, like dry, kind of sarcastic humor out there, which is much different than, us Canadians. So I think that that's a lot of what it is. And I don't really think that he was a bully at all. So I don't like that word.
Yeah, and that's understandable. And it's funny that you mentioned that because in Dynamite's book, per what my uncle had told me, that it kind of seemed like he had rose-colored glasses to an extent about some of the ribs that he pulled or some of the bad things that happened. And it was kind of like, oh, I don't really remember it that way, how other people have described it. But it's like, well, it's kind of what everybody else is saying, man. Maybe it was just more accepted back then, and that's just how it was. But times change, and everybody's.
Yes, I feel like you wouldn't be able to get away with like that kind of stuff as much now in the locker rooms, unless you're in like super indie wrestling, maybe. But like WWF, no, you wouldn't get away with it now. I mean WWE, sorry.
We all know it's the same thing at that point, but AEW, WWE, maybe TNA even, yeah, you probably couldn't get away with those sort of things anymore. But back then, the lines were a little blurred back then.
Yeah, exactly. They're figuring things out as they went, even with steroids and concussions and stuff like that.
Yeah, it's unfortunate seeing everything that has transpired with all of that, unfortunately. But something that I've been saying for the past couple of years after going through certain experiences is we're all just 18-year-olds following the last 18-year-olds that were in our place at some point. We're all just trying to figure it out together. We don't actually know what's going on. Nobody does. And that was just how life was. And not to talk badly about your father, but that's what I assume happened with the steroid usage and everything else that happened. He was just following everybody else that was around him and just kind of feeding into the culture. And that's just kind of how life was, I guess, at the time.
Yes. Yeah, he definitely, he was a little bit smaller and felt the pressure to look a certain way to keep his position and, to feel valued. Like, I need to be this big muscular man and keep my spot on the main roster. And so it's unfortunate, but like you said, a lot of them were doing it at that time. And so they just thought it was the right thing to do. That's what you do.
It's just what you did as a wrestler. And it is interesting also looking at from the perspective of, that's not really how it is anymore. Like, yeah, you'll see the guys who are jacked and everything, and they're able to show off their physique. But you see a lot of cruiserweights now, too, where it's like, okay, I don't need to be, 235 in muscle. I can be like, just flat 200 or even like 180, depending on the height of the guy, and just be skinny, but know how to perform athletically. And I think that's kind of the difference nowadays. What do you think?
Yeah. And I mean, I think that they kind of had to pave the way. Someone had to figure it out and make the mistakes. And then now they're like, okay, we learned from that. I don't need to be this size, at this height, because it doesn't make sense for my body type. So unfortunately, my dad was the one that paved the way for that. But yeah, there's certainly, smaller guys now having better matches, successful careers. And I think it all kind of started with my dad. He was the one that really paved the way for that, for the cruiserweights.
Oh, definitely at the time. I hate to put it this way, but he kind of used his own body to become, or at least to show, like, this is what happens if you just try to make it so everybody has to be the same cookie cutter formula. We all have to be super buff, super whatever to be successful. When you go that route, this is what can happen to those smaller guys that don't necessarily need it. I mean, looking at the Benoit case and others, it's like we didn't need to go this route. And then you see somebody like Bryan Danielson, who has in a way imitated your father's style and everything, but he didn't go the same route. He seems to have went a little bit more healthy, more mature. Yeah. It seems like a little bit, not as any kind of insult. I apologize for saying mature. That was just how the times were, but you know what I mean.
Yeah.
But it is interesting just looking at those two are the ones that
you will have like a lengthier career that way. So if you're taking care of your body, everything you put into your body, and hopefully that leads to a more lengthy career than my father's. So
totally agree. And
so far he's doing well, Bryan Danielson. So
oh yeah, seemed to have done a little bit better overall with his career. Especially the last few years, seeing him come to AEW and everything, he seemed a little bit happier and, happy for him. But either way, something that I do want to mention that, so I work in aircraft maintenance. Now, when I was first learning my trade, I was originally going to be on a brand new aircraft, and I was excited for that. And then they said, oh, no, we're switching you to an aircraft that was like from the 50s. I'm like, well, all right, whatever. And then, I was a little bummed about it, just thinking, man, that would have been cool. This aircraft was brand new. And somebody stopped me and was like, no, you don't understand. Everything that is written in those manuals from the 50s, well, originally from then, they've been updated over the years. All those things that say warning, caution, note, that's all written in blood. These brand new aircraft don't have that. So that's just life to an extent. The last person to go through something, that's where we're really learning stuff from. So unfortunately, it was his blood that was being writing those warnings to an extent about steroids and everything else in a way.
Yeah, and I don't think my dad would have it any other way. Like, he has no regrets, as you know from reading his book. I believe it ended with, I wouldn't change a thing. So everything he has done, and the road he has paved, good, bad, the ugly, he wouldn't change it because that's his journey. And, he was that passionate about wrestling, and he wouldn't have, if he had the chance to go back, he would do it all again. So.
And I can't blame him on that, I mean, what is life if you're going to live with some sort of regret afterwards?
Exactly. So hopefully, someone has learnt from his past, I guess.
Definitely. And I'm really hoping that he can get into the Hall of Fame as well, because he definitely deserves it for everything that not only he went through, but the team that he was a part of, that everything that they went through, they deserve to be in the Hall of Fame. And it's just a no-brainer to me. I really thought that they were already in. I'm sorry for being mistaken on that one.
They're be, there's so many like little Hall of Fames. Not that I've inducted my dad recently or anything, but they could be in some little ones I don't even really know about. But no, they're not in the WWF one. WWE. Why do I keep saying WWF today? Because I'm in like the 80s right now, talking about the past. So
that's okay. That's, we all know what the company really was at that point. But it is interesting that you mentioned like smaller ones because I believe just the overall Professional Wrestling Hall of Fame, I believe that's in Wichita Falls, Texas. Yeah, that's where it is. He may be there, but when I tried to go the last time that I was in Wichita Falls, there was construction being done to the building, so I couldn't go in. So I was like, seriously?
Oh, bummer. Yeah.
The one time
I'm here. Yeah.
Exactly.
Next time.
Hopefully at some point, and hopefully you can visit there as well at some point and be able to potentially see if he's in there. I'm not too sure, but I'm sure they have some sort of online logs for it of some sort that you'd be able to look up. But anyways.
Wrestle Magic.
So towards the end, we always like to ask about any kind of recommendations for the audience. This can be movies, TV shows, video games, cat breeds, poems, songs, anything that you would recommend.
Well, I am an orange cat lover, so I do recommend ginger cats. They are my favorite. They're the friendliest. We call them tomcats. But no, I'm actually going to go with recommending this new book of Natalia's. So Natty Neidhart, The Last Heart Beating. I just picked this up last weekend. She was in town. I have not started to read it yet, but I'm still going to recommend it because I know it's going to be good. She said if you are a wrestling fan, it'll resonate with you. If you're not a wrestling fan, it'll resonate with you. Like, that's just the way she wrote it. And she showed me when I stood in line. She was like, I wanted to put the family on the cover. So she's got herself, Harry, Brett, Owen, and her grandfather, Stu Hart. And then on the back side are the Bulldogs, her husband TJ, and her dad Jim Neidhart. So I was absolutely honored that she didn't leave my father out of this. We were a part of the Hart family growing up, not by blood, but like through marriage. But Helen Hart considered us Billington kids her grandchildren as well. She kept a book with all her grandchildren's names and numbers. It's actually in the museum here. Because she was so proud of how big the family was, and I don't know how many grandkids she had, but so many that we were actually on that list. So we're in this list that is framed at the museum as one of the Hart grandchildren. So the fact that she put my dad on there was just really, really touching. So I can't wait to read it and get all the juicy details of Natalia.
Valid. And now that I'm thinking about this, so are you close with Natalia, or did you guys like grow up together at all?
They were their family, and also Davy Boy's kids. They were back and forth between Calgary and Florida a lot while we were in school. So they'd be like living in Florida, and then, okay, now we're back in Calgary. Okay, now we're back in Florida. So they were back and forth a lot. So I saw her a lot, but we weren't like super close. She's 2 years old, 2 years older than me. Her other sister is a year older than me, so it's probably a little bit closer with that sister. But yeah, we were always, rolling around in the ring and stuff like that, and Hart family dinners, and yeah.
Okay, so I take it when you went up for the book and everything, she recognized you at least and everything.
Oh, of course, yes. Yes. Yeah, I see her. She's amazing. Like, I see her whenever she comes to town, and she gets my she has to give everyone in the massive family tickets to the shows, but she always makes sure not to leave me out, and give my kids tickets as well. And so yeah, I see her all the time. Like, whenever she's in town, pretty much yearly, I'll see her.
That's pretty cool. And it is interesting just to see that she's able to put your father on the back and everything, and that is cool. And I'm glad that she was able to release a book of her own.
She didn't really have to do that. She could have just had Davy on there, and so I thought it was super cool that that just shows what type of person she is. She never forgets who paved the road ahead of her, and how much my dad did for the business. Stu Hart absolutely loved my dad, just like a son. So it's awesome that she did that.
Yeah, definitely. And, Natalia is somebody that I have mentioned a lot in conversations about, like, she's not used as much as I kind of wish she was in the wrestling business and in WWE, because yeah, we have all these big names that we see, but what about Natalya? She's always been a solid worker, and I can't think of any time that I've been like, oh, this match sucks and it's got Natalya, and I can't think of any time that I've ever had that.
It was because of the opponent, not because of her.
Maybe.
But even then, she probably makes them look good, so... Yeah, she's absolutely incredible, and I'm excited to see her doing, like, branching out, doing a little more things, like with the new ownership of the company. They're able to go work other promotions, and she did the Josh Barnett Bloodsport, and so that was cool to see, and kind of this new character of hers that she's showcased to the world, and so it's good to see her like tapping into other areas, and her book she's super excited about, so she's doing lots still.
Oh, definitely.
The best she can.
She's kind of come out as a little bit more of a badass character. And I kind of like seeing this different side of her rather than, I don't know, she always seemed like a little bit as a flat character just going to the ring for a long time. It felt like in WWE, she was always just kind of quiet, walk to the ring with the Newer Heart Foundation. And then there was nothing else really to it, it felt like. And I don't know, I just always felt a little weird about it. It's like, how are you giving this technical wrestler who really knows what she's doing so little? It just kind of weirded me out. But anyways,
it's great that she's gotten to keep her spot there for so long, though, because she's been doing it a long time.
Oh yeah, I mean, God, I remember, I don't know if she debuted at that point, but I remember first seeing her probably like 2007 or 8 maybe, or maybe 9. But yeah, it's been a long time now. But yeah, so we are coming towards the end of the show, so do you have any last messages for the audience?
I just, please come follow me on Instagram. I have my link tree on there. So Dynamite Doll, my link tree has everything that I'm working on, which is my dad's Instagram, merchandise, my podcast. I'm on OnlyFans. I'm on Patreon. Anything you want to know, just click on there and it's all going to be there. There's lots of exciting stuff right now with the movie. So I'm going to be, not only my podcasting, I'm trying to vlog when I'm not podcasting. So with the movie, I'm going to be vlogging when they're here, taking them to all the spots. I want to try to make a really cool video of that. When I go to England, I want to document everything. I'm thinking about going to the Snake Pit in Wigan, which is where my dad trained. I thought that would be a really cool video to post. So if you're interested in any of that, just follow me on Instagram and I'll be posting all that fun stuff on there.
Okay. Fair enough.
I just appreciate everyone's support, because without the fans, I wouldn't be here. My father wouldn't be here. And also, actually, guys, I'm going to be starting a petition for my dad to get in the Hall of Fame, because that's just where I'm at. So any extra support with that would be extra appreciated. I'm trying to get him in the Hall of Fame. And so I'm at the point where I guess I'm going for this petition, because that's the next step. So.
That's valid. He definitely deserves it. And hey, send it to me. I'll immediately sign that, because he deserves it. And it is kind of funny for me, because the first time I actually heard about your father, believe it or not, was from a video game growing up.
Wow. Yeah.
I mean, I was in an era of all right, I'm seeing John Cena and, Triple H on TV, but they never really mentioned Dynamite. So I remember seeing him in a video game first. But yeah, I remember playing as him and God, this guy's actually pretty fun. Why do I never hear about this dude? He's dressed just like the British Bulldog. And then, history suddenly unfolded in front of me. I'm like, oh, okay.
Yeah. Oh, there was two. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
But usually everyone's always like, oh, Davey Boy Smith. When I talk about my dad, I'm like, no, there was 2 of them.
Yeah.
My dad's the shorter one. Yeah.
Shorter, but I will say more talented. I'll 100% back that. I'll die on that hill. He was definitely the more talented of the 2. But, but yeah, so it's been an absolute honor to have you on the show, ma'am. So
it's been fun. Appreciate it.
My recommendation for the audience tonight is going to be something that I tried recently, which was apple juice with rhubarb in it, which not bad. I do recommend it for anybody who's never tried it before, just because something a little different. But then along with that, oh yeah, it was kind of nice just to have that for once. I've never tried it before and just found it in this random farm shop out here. But yeah, so you guys know how I always end the show. Do something nice for somebody. You never know who needs it out there. And as always, in the words of my old friend Memphis Mark, we're out.
Wrestle Magic.